In 1978, Battlestar Galactica pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, a fleet fleeing total annihilation. But in 2026, the real transformations are even more shocking, from sudden tragedy to financial collapse. Here's what really happened to the cast after all these years. Lorne Greene as Commander. Adama. We begin with Lorne Greene, the man who became Commander Adama, the iron-willed patriarch of Battlestar Galactica. He was 63 years old when he stood at the helm of the last surviving Battlestar, projecting calm authority while humanity collapsed around him. That gravitas wasn't acting. It was lived experience. His life ended on September 11, 1987. He was 72 years old. Complications from pneumonia followed ulcer surgery at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, and the body that had carried such a commanding presence simply gave out. He was laid to rest at Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City. Because decades earlier, he had already carried the weight of war. As a CBC broadcaster during World War II, he delivered casualty lists across Canada so relentlessly that colleagues nicknamed him the Voice of Doom. He later admitted that reading the names of the dead night after night took a psychological toll. Then television transformed him into Ben Cartwright on Bonanza, a role that ran for 14 seasons and reportedly paid him around $50,000 per episode at its peak. He became one of the highest-paid actors on television, even scoring a #1 spoken-word hit in 1964 with Ringo. But the structure beneath the success was less stable. His first marriage to Rita Hands collapsed in 1960 after 22 years, strained by relentless filming schedules and emotional distance. They had twin children born in 1944. His second marriage to Nancy Deal endured, though the balance between family and stardom remained fragile. Health problems quietly escalated in his later years: heart complications, ulcer surgery, infection. The man who portrayed an unbreakable commander ultimately faced something he could not command: his own mortality. Richard Hatch as Captain Apollo. Then comes Richard Hatch. Captain Apollo, the fearless pilot and conflicted son in Battlestar Galactica. He was 33 years old when he became the youthful face of resistance, embodying idealism and fire in a collapsing universe. For a moment, it seemed like the launchpad to a lasting leading man career. Instead, the trajectory turned unexpectedly. Hatch died on February 7, 2017, at the age of 71 from pancreatic cancer in Los Angeles. The disease progressed rapidly. He kept much of the diagnosis private, continuing appearances and public engagements while battling severe pain. Many fans learned how serious it had been only after his passing. His childhood had been unsettled by his parents' divorce, forcing frequent moves and emotional instability. Acting became his ambition. Early television success included work on All My Children and the Streets of San Francisco, and his performance as Apollo earned him a Golden Globe nomination. Yet when Battlestar Galactica ended abruptly, major roles failed to follow. Income declined. Depression followed periods of unemployment. In the late 1990s, convinced the franchise still had life, he financed a revival trailer called The Second Coming. Reports indicate he leveraged personal property to fund it, risking his own financial security. His personal life reflected the same instability. He married Jo Distante in the late 1960s. The marriage ended in divorce and produced one son, Paul Hatch. He did not remarry. Convention appearances became a primary income source, sometimes accounting for a significant portion of his yearly earnings. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was reported around $200,000, modest for someone who once headlined a primetime network series. Dirk Benedict as Lieutenant Starbuck. We come to Dirk Benedict, the man behind Lieutenant Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, the fearless gambler pilot who treated space battles like poker games. He was 33 years old when he became the fleet's most charming risk-taker, flashing confidence while destruction loomed around him. That swagger wasn't entirely fiction. In 2026, Benedict is 81 years old with an estimated net worth of about $2 million. Years before Galactica made him famous, he was diagnosed with a prostate tumor. Doctors urged conventional treatment. He refused surgery and chemotherapy, instead adopting a strict macrobiotic diet inspired by Gloria Swanson. Many believed he was gambling with his life. The tumor regressed. He later detailed the ordeal in his autobiography, Confessions of a Kamikaze Cowboy, turning personal medical rebellion into public identity. Success continued with his role as Templeton Face Peck in The A-Team, 1983 to 1987, another cultural phenomenon. Yet as the 1990s arrived, major roles diminished. He shifted to writing, stage performances, and fan conventions. In 2006, he openly criticized the modern reboot of Battlestar Galactica for casting a woman as Starbuck, sparking controversy and dividing fans. His outspokenness reinforced his image as defiant, even stubborn. His personal life carried equal complexity. He married actress Toni Hudson in 1986. They had 2 sons before divorcing in 1995 after years of strain. In 1998, he discovered he had an older son from a prior relationship who had been placed for adoption, a revelation that reshaped his family life. Benedict never reached the vast wealth of some 1980s television stars, but he sustained a steady career through resilience, authorship, and loyal sci-fi audiences. Herbert Jefferson Jr. as Lieutenant Boomer. Now we turn to Herbert Jefferson Jr., who portrayed Lieutenant Boomer in Battlestar Galactica, the dependable officer whose calm presence balanced the fleet's chaos. He was 32 years old when he became one of the few black leads in a major 1970s science fiction series, a quiet breakthrough at a time when representation was rare. In 2026, Jefferson is 80 years old with an estimated net worth around $1 million. His path to that role was shaped by hardship. Born in Georgia and raised in New Jersey, he grew up during an era marked by racial discrimination and economic limitation. Classical training at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts prepared him professionally, but opportunities for black actors remained limited. His casting as Boomer came unexpectedly after another actor was injured, placing him into a role that would define his career. After the series, he worked consistently rather than spectacularly. Appearances in productions like Apollo 13 and Outbreak kept him visible, though usually in supporting roles. Television projects such as Rich Man, Poor Man demonstrated his range, yet leading parts remained scarce. Financial stability required persistence rather than headline fame. He balanced acting with community involvement and family responsibilities. Jefferson has maintained a largely private personal life, married with 1 daughter, Rebecca Mamie Jefferson. He took the work that came, supported community initiatives, and built a life that valued dignity over fame. His story is not one of explosive fortune, but of perseverance in a system that rarely rewarded pioneers properly. Maren Jensen as Lieutenant Athena. We come to Maren Jensen, Lieutenant Athena in Battlestar Galactica, the young officer whose calm presence softened a collapsing universe. She was just 22 years old when she appeared in the series, one of the youngest faces aboard a fleet fighting extinction. She looked like Hollywood's next long-term leading lady. In 2026, Maren Jensen is 70 years old. She is no longer acting and has lived largely out of the spotlight for decades. Reports place her primarily in the New York metro area, occasionally traveling to Los Angeles for business and family. Her estimated net worth is around $5 million, built not from television royalties but from business ventures. Her exit from Hollywood came suddenly. After guest roles in The Love Boat and starring in Wes Craven's 1981 horror film Deadly Blessing, she was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr syndrome. The chronic illness drained her energy and effectively ended her acting career in her mid-20s. While many assumed she had simply faded away, she was rebuilding quietly. In 1993, she co-founded the cosmetics brand Stila. The company grew into one of the most recognizable beauty brands of the late 1990s, selling strongly in major retailers like Sephora. She later co-founded Glow Beauty Fuel in 2020, shifting again into wellness entrepreneurship. Her personal life carried equal intensity. She was engaged to Don Henley of the Eagles in the early 1980s. He dedicated his first solo album to her, and she contributed musically to his work. Their 1986 breakup was widely described as painful. She later reportedly married music executive John Kugelberg and chose privacy over publicity. The woman once positioned as a sci-fi star walked away from Hollywood at its doorstep and reinvented herself as a business figure. Terry Carter as Colonel Tighe. Now we turn to Terry Carter. Colonel Tighe in Battlestar Galactica, the disciplined second-in-command who stood firmly beside Adama. He was 50 years old when he portrayed the fleet's executive officer, bringing authority shaped by decades of real-world struggle. Carter died on April 23, 2024, at 95 years old in New York City from natural causes. He had retired there in 2013 and spent his final years quietly in his hometown. His estimated net worth at death was about $500,000. Modest for someone who helped reshape television history. His life had been defined by firsts. Growing up in Brooklyn during segregation, he pushed through economic hardship and racial barriers. In 1965, he became one of the first black television news anchors in New England, a groundbreaking position that exposed him to constant scrutiny. Acting roles followed, including work in McCloud and later documentary production for PBS. He served 2 terms as a governor for the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences and was inducted into the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, helping shape Emmy and Oscar decision-making from behind the scenes. His personal life, however, carried repeated loss. He was married 3 times. His first marriage to Anna Scratuglia ended in divorce. His second wife, Beate Glatved, died in 2006. His third wife, Etaferhu Zenebe, survived him. Even a roller skating accident before Battlestar Galactica nearly cost him his role. Yet he endured through reinvention rather than fame. Terry Carter left something we can't forget. Proof that breaking barriers rarely comes with blockbuster rewards. Noah Hathaway as Boxey. We begin with Noah Hathaway, the little boy behind Boxey in Battlestar Galactica, the wide-eyed child wandering a war-torn fleet. He was only 7 years old when he appeared in the series, carrying innocence into a universe built on destruction. After all, he was already working in an industry that rarely lets children stay children. In 2026, Hathaway is 55 years old and still alive, with an estimated net worth of about $500,000. He no longer lives the life of a mainstream actor. Instead, he has spent years between martial arts training, motorcycle culture, tattoo artistry, and fan conventions. His breakout moment came in 1984 when he played Atreyu in The Never-Ending Story. The role made him an international teen idol, especially in Europe, and he won a Saturn Award for Best Younger Actor. But that success came at a physical cost. Director Wolfgang Peterson demanded realism, and Hathaway performed many of his own stunts. He suffered injuries during filming and later spoke openly about how dangerous the production had been. As adolescence hit, the industry's interest faded. By his late teens, work slowed dramatically. He turned to dance instruction until an injury forced him to stop, then immersed himself in martial arts, earning black belts in Tong Soo Do and Shotokan Karate, and even competing in Muay Thai. His personal life has been turbulent. He has been married more than once, with relationships ending in divorce and emotional strain. Public details remain limited, but he has acknowledged difficult periods involving substance struggles and instability during his young adult years. Instead of chasing nostalgia, he rebuilt piece by piece, competing in motorcycle racing, working as a tattoo artist, and returning occasionally to independent film projects. The boy who once symbolized fantasy heroism grew into a man who had to fight very real battles off-screen. Laurette Spang as Cassiopeia. Now we turn to Laurette Spang, Cassiopeia in Battlestar Galactica, the elegant survivor whose character was rewritten from socialite to medical technician after network censors intervened. She was 27 years old when she joined the fleet, bringing grace to a chaotic storyline. In 2026, Spang is 75 years old and still alive, with an estimated net worth of around $3 million. She lives a quieter life, largely outside Hollywood, alongside her husband, actor John McCook, whom she married in 1980. Their marriage has lasted 46 years, though it required navigating the instability of acting careers. They have 3 children, including actress Molly McCook. Her road to Battlestar was anything but secure. After signing a 7-year contract with Universal Studios in the early 1970s, she appeared in numerous guest roles. Yet when the contract ended, she was nearly broke and reportedly evicted from her apartment just before landing Cassiopeia. The pilot script originally had her character killed in a violent scene, but producers changed direction and kept her as a regular. That rewrite likely saved her career. Even after appearing in series like The Love Boat, Magnum, PY, and Three's Company, she chose stability over spotlight. By the mid-1980s, she stepped away from acting almost entirely, returning only briefly in 2007 for the thriller Plot 7. While others chased fame, Spang prioritized family and long-term security. Her story is not one of scandal or collapse. It is one of near financial ruin, sudden rescue, and the deliberate decision to walk away while she still could. Tony Swartz as Sergeant Jolly. We begin with Tony Swartz, the steady presence behind Sergeant Jolly in Battlestar Galactica, the loyal flight sergeant who stood firm in the cockpit while chaos raged outside. He was 35 years old when he appeared in the series, portraying a grounded, dependable officer in a universe obsessed with heroes. Tony Swartz died on September 27, 2016, just 3 days after his 73rd birthday, following a battle with cancer. For years, confusion surrounded the exact details of his passing, but records confirm he died in Missouri. His estimated net worth at the time of his death was modest, around $100,000, reflecting a career built on steady work rather than headline fame. His early life in rural Iowa was marked by financial hardship. Acting became a way out. He built a respectable television resume with appearances in series like Kojak during the 1970s, as well as guest roles in The Golden Girls and other shows. Yet even after Battlestar Galactica, major leading roles never materialized. He supplemented his income by working behind the scenes as a location scout and driver, moving between creative roles and production logistics to stay afloat. Hollywood visibility faded, but he kept working. He married Helen Bloom in 1970, and their marriage lasted until his death, spanning more than 4 decades. They had 1 daughter, Catherine Swartz. His life did not follow a glamorous trajectory. It followed a practical one: steady work, family commitment, and resilience through illness. John Colicos as Count Baltar. Now we turn to John Colicos, the electrifying Count Baltar in Battlestar Galactica, the treacherous aristocrat whose betrayal doomed entire worlds. He was 50 years old when he embodied the franchise's most calculating villain, bringing Shakespearean intensity to science fiction. Colicos died on March 6, 2000, at the age of 71 in Toronto after suffering a series of heart attacks. His estimated net worth was around $1 million, respectable, though modest for someone whose face became iconic in genre history. His life began in a Greek immigrant household in Canada, shaped by economic struggle and cultural tension. Acting became his escape and obsession. He trained rigorously, winning Best Actor at the Dominion Drama Festival and eventually becoming the youngest performer to play King Lear at the Old Vic at age 22. He later joined the Stratford Festival, cementing his reputation in classical theater long before television fame arrived. Science fiction fans knew him first as Commander Kor, the very first Klingon ever seen in Star Trek in 1967. More than 3 decades later, he returned to that role in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, making him one of the few actors to reprise a character across generations. His portrayal of Baltar in Battlestar Galactica added another layer to his villain legacy. Off-screen, he married Mona McHenry in 1956. They divorced in 1981 after 25 years together and had 2 sons, including actor Nicholas Colicos. His later years were quieter, filled with television guest roles, voice work, including Apocalypse in the X-Men animated series, and convention appearances. He built them from classical foundations, merging theater discipline with genre spectacle. The heart that once powered King Lear and Count Baltar ultimately failed him, but the characters he shaped remain impossible to erase. Anne Lockhart, as Lieutenant Sheba. We come to Anne Lockhart. Lieutenant Sheba in Battlestar Galactica, the fearless Viper pilot with a soldier's discipline and a daughter's ache for approval. She was 25 years old when she played Sheba, flying into danger while trying to prove she belonged beside the legends. Then the twist that still shocks people. She was reportedly considered for Laurie Strode in Halloween, but commitments pulled her away, and the role became Jamie Lee Curtis's career-defining breakout instead. After the cameras moved on, her life didn't get easier. It got heavier. She married Adam Carlisle Taylor on December 24, 1986, had 2 children, Carlisle and Zane, and then lost him in a motorcycle accident on June 4, 1994, when he was only 27. Overnight, she was a working actress and a single mother, trying to keep a career alive while raising 2 kids alone. And here's where her story turns from tragedy to grit. In 2026, Anne Lockhart is 73, still active in the industry and still tied to the stage world. She helped form the Kingsman Shakespeare Festival and continues to be associated with it in California, while also appearing at genre events and fan conventions. Jane Seymour as Serena. Now we come to Jane Seymour, Serena in Battlestar Galactica, the tender, tragic figure at the center of the fleet's early heartbreak. She was 27 years old when she played Serena, bringing warmth into a story that was never going to be gentle. Fast forward to 2026, Jane Seymour is 75, still working at full speed, filming and executive producing Harry Wild, writing a memoir, and continuing her philanthropic work with the Open Hearts Foundation. She is closely associated with Los Angeles, including media features filmed at her LA home. Her success looks effortless until you hit the part most people don't expect. She has been divorced 4 times, and one of those marriages dragged her into real financial ruin. She has said she was left completely bankrupt after being pulled into real estate investments by an ex-husband, then had to rebuild from the ground up. And she did rebuild. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, turned her into a long-running TV icon and earned major awards recognition, while her business work, including branded products and designs, kept her earning beyond acting. The shock isn't that she endured fame. It's that after heartbreak, divorce, and a financial wipeout, she's still standing at 75 David Greenan as Omega. We come to David Greenan, Omega in Battlestar Galactica, the efficient bridge officer standing just behind Commander Adama, always present yet rarely center stage. He was 31 years old when he appeared in the series, portraying a disciplined aide in a world ruled by louder personalities. In 2026, David Greenan is 79 years old, but here is the part that surprises most fans. He is no longer in the entertainment industry at all. He became a practicing psychologist and family therapist in New York City, and even serves as an assistant professor at Teachers College, Columbia University. His estimated net worth is around $500,000, modest by Hollywood standards, but built from a completely different career. Acting was never his long-term destination. Though he appeared in series like Charlie's Angels and later in The Equalizer, the roles remained secondary. The pattern was consistent: Steady, professional, but never breakout. Rather than chase diminishing opportunities, he pivoted entirely. He returned to academia, retrained, and built a respected counseling practice specializing in family therapy. Few actors from a cult sci-fi series reinvent themselves so radically. While others stayed in conventions and nostalgia circuits, Greenan stepped away from the spotlight and into clinical work, trading scripts for case studies. Sarah Rush as Rigel. Now we turn to Sarah Rush. Rigel in Battlestar Galactica, the sharp-tongued socialite whose elegance masked survival instinct. She was 23 years old when she entered the series, bringing theatrical poise to a character navigating power and status aboard the fleet. She already carried stage training and discipline beyond her years. In 2026, Sarah Rush is 71 years old and living a far quieter life, with an estimated net worth around $1 million. Unlike many child or teen performers, her early years were grounded in academics and theater training. She graduated summa cum laude from Pennsylvania State University with a BFA in theater and trained under legendary acting teachers like Uta Hagen. Long before Hollywood, she had even been crowned Coal Queen of Pennsylvania in 1972, a small-town title that later became the subject of the documentary The Bituminous Coal Queens of Pennsylvania, which she narrated and starred in. The film won the 2006 Heartland Film Festival Award. Her career never exploded into blockbuster fame, but it remained steady. She appeared in productions such as The West Wing and maintained ties to stage performance. Rather than chasing high-profile headlines, she chose consistent, professional work. She was married to Fred Bova, and they have a daughter, Amanda Grace Bova. Public scandal never followed her. Financial collapse never defined her. Instead, her life reflects quiet endurance, the opposite of Rigel's dramatic persona. From child stars to commanding officers, from sudden tragedy to unexpected reinvention, the cast of Battlestar Galactica, 1978 to 1979, lived stories far more dramatic than anything written in space. Which transformation surprised you the most? And whose journey do you think changed the most by 2026? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the cast then and now, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow sci-fi fans. The fleet may have faded from television, but its legacy is still very much alive.